Hello, I'm Sheila Hensley, and I'm doing another small business owner interview. My guest today is Matt Pentecost. Matt and I know each other. Some of the other interviews I will have never talked to the people, but I have talked with Matt, so you're going to hear a little more familiarity in our conversation because we've worked on projects together and we have had several hangouts together. Matt, hello, how are you, and welcome.
Thank you, Sheila. Hello. Glad to be here.
You know, I want to talk about small businesses and their difficulties, and not only beginning a business, but building that business, and then today keeping up with the online presence that they have to maintain so their clients and customers can find them. I'd like to read a quote from you that I found, and I want to know if it's true. I started my business in early 2005 with 0 business sense.
That's correct, yes.
Tell me about that.
I think like anybody that gets into business, I was one of those people that thought I can start a business and do it better than the job that I was currently working at the time. So I jumped in and I learned the business and did great as far as the work goes, but just didn't have any business sense whatsoever.
We always think we don't have any business sense, but apparently you developed some, or you found some, or you got some because you're still in business, and it's quite a good business and you enjoy that business. When you first started out, what was the very hardest thing for you to learn, do, or accomplish? What was your biggest challenge?
Staying busy and trying to make sure that money was coming in. That was the biggest, going from a regular steady paycheck to an unknown. That was the biggest challenge for me because I had never been in that position ever before. I was just used to regular money coming in every week, and all of a sudden it was there sometimes and not other times. So that was definitely the biggest challenge for sure.
Pretty scary. And when you're talking about staying busy, you're talking about finding business, finding clients. You knew they were out there. You just had to connect with them. You had to complete a job. You had to do a good job. And then you had to have a satisfied customer and then go get another one, right?
That was the goal for sure. It was a little more sporadic than I had hoped.
It isn't always that way, but in the majority of the cases, I think it is. And it's scary. It's scary because you sort of wonder what's going to happen tomorrow. Okay, I want to give you another quote. I've been involved in every step of my business, and I've learned what is necessary to grow a business. Yes, I have it right here because I wasn't going to take a chance of misquoting you. So you were involved in every step of developing it. It was your idea. You've already said you thought you could do it better than the next guy. And we all think that. If we didn't think that, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing. But you were involved in every step of building it. And when you built your business, and we're going to say that you're in the service industry, when you built your business, did you start off with a website?
I'm going to say I was probably about 5 years in before I actually had a website. So yes. I was definitely way behind for sure.
And do you think that was because you didn't need one? You didn't have the time to spend on getting one? What was your thought process on that?
I didn't understand how beneficial a website would be, first of all. I mean, now that I have one and have had one for a while, I definitely understand the importance. But at the time, and I also thought expense was definitely something back in my mind. It was the fear of, wow, that's going to be expensive to build a website. That was a huge factor in not having one for sure.
And it always is. That we don't know how to do it, or I didn't know how to do it. I had to get some help. And then I also had to put out actual cash, that which I was not making very much of at the time. So I had to make a decision to go ahead and do it. You did go ahead and do it. Obviously, somebody got to you and said, hey, Matt, put up a website. Or did you decide on your own? Which way did it happen?
Someone advised me that I should, and that's kind of how it happened. Like I said, it should have been much sooner. Now that I see the benefits of it, should have had a website long before.
I also want to talk about Google My Business pages and reviews, if you don't mind, because I know you know a lot about that. Do small business owners, we, become our worst enemy sometimes, and why do you think that is?
I think a lot of times that as a small business owner, you tend to wear all the hats. And instead of getting help, you think you can do everything. And just because it's going to cost money for everything you need done, you end up trying to do it all yourself. And sometimes you kind of just bury yourself and you kind of take your business down a little bit, actually, from where it could be, actually.
I didn't expect that answer. I thought I was really going to have to probe and get the perfect answer out of you, and you just gave me the perfect answer. That's exactly right. That's what we do. That's what we tend to do. And it is something that you really, really need to avoid. You need to plan for asking for help and not doing everything yourself. And that's a theme that's coming out when I interview small business owners. They're all sort of saying that. And I'm wondering why. Is it fear? And you mentioned some of this, so you may have answered most of these already. Is it fear? Is it stubbornness? Is it a closed mind to new ideas? And I think you covered that in your statement. I think you covered all three of those, did you not?
Initially is money. I think that's most people's fear. It's, hey, this is going to cost a lot to have somebody else do this for me. And, obviously you have to have enough money coming in to actually be able to afford somebody else. So that definitely is probably the number one, I would say, for most small businesses.
So you do start out doing it yourself. You do because of money. And as soon as you can, you should start looking at investing in people or a team that can help you. You do what you do best, and you put a team around you who can help you and help you reach the goals you want to reach. And I think you'll agree with that.
You find people that you think are going to help you at the beginning when you get to that stage, and maybe they're not exactly the right person because maybe they don't really have your best interest at heart. It takes time to assemble the right team of people that you can trust and are going to have your back and take care of whatever needs to be done. So it takes time.
It takes time, and it takes experience with people. And that's another thing as a small business that you learn is how to evaluate people, what they can do for you, and the art of saying no. Because once we build a relationship with someone to help us, it's very hard to go back and say, no, I don't think so.
And that has been many times that I got involved into something or with someone and trying to help me in business, and I'm going, okay, this is not the right person, and how do I get out of this? Because this is not working. That is a tough thing. Once you're involved, it's hard to back out of it.
You build a loyalty to that person, especially if they've done any work for you. But if it's not working, you must say and be honest, this is not working. And you've got to have the confidence in yourself to say it's not working and do something else, and do it the kindest way you can. But say no. You've got to develop. It's not a thick skin. It's to help me with this. It's a judgment call, and you've got to develop that sense of judgment and be able to make those decisions. And you've done it well.
I was working with someone, and I was hoping to be progressing further along than I actually was at the time. And I actually had that conversation and continued to work with that person for a while longer, basically just because I'm a nice guy and given a little extra chance to kind of make it happen. And when it didn't happen, I finally had to say, okay, we need to part ways. This is not working. I need to be moving forward, not just staying in the same spot. So, yeah. No, you're exactly right.
And did you feel a sense of guilt when you made the decision?
I did. I had to think about it and kind of how I was going to approach it. I did have to do that. I think what helped me is I was changing my focus over to more web stuff is one of the best decisions I made at that point. So saying no to one and adding the additional on the other side was the best decision I've ever made, for sure.
That's a great segue into where I actually want to go. But my next question was going to be, yes, you did feel some guilt, but once you made the decision, did you feel relief? And you're ahead of me. You just said, yes, that was the best decision I ever made. So I think you'll agree with that. You do have guilt for cutting ties and making the decision and having to say no or goodbye. But then once you do, it opens up creativity to go someplace else and do something else. And it just does you a world of good when you can make that decision. I know you are talking to small business owners now, and you're discussing with them what they should do or could do to benefit their business. Where's your focus? What do you want to tell a business, or how are you discussing with a small business what they might do?
A small business has to be found before they even have a chance. So
absolutely correct. Yeah.
If you're not found, you have no ability even to make a sale, and you won't have a business. You have to be found first, whatever avenue that is. Maybe it's through print, maybe it's through online, email. There's all kinds of different ways you can do it. In certain instances, one will work better than the other. So there's no really one way to do it. I do think that that's where it starts. You have to be found first.
And your preferred way to be found today is?
Oh, online by far.
I really like to talk to small businesses and with small businesses about their online presence because everything is online today. And if you're not, sometimes you're not seen to be credible. Would you agree with that?
The days of the phone book and the yellow pages, once again, I'm not saying it couldn't work for some business, but I mean, most businesses that doesn't work anymore.
Right. And I think you have to have a mixture based on your business, based on your customers and your clientele. Print may be something that you really, really need, but you also really, really need that online presence because not all customers are alike. Not all customers or clients are the same age. And certainly they don't all look for services, products, and possibly what you're offering in the same way. So you have to cover all of your bases, and that's another small business decision that you have to make. Where are you going to put your emphasis? But let's go to online for a second. My favorite way to be found and what has worked for me has been Google My Business Listings, the stars, the reviews. For my particular business, it worked great. It's not going to work great for everyone, but I think it's something that every business really should consider because it's not that difficult to do. You'll be put on a map, there'll be directions, and there's no expense involved. So a small business today can be found through one of these types of listings with very little expense, which is going to increase that revenue pretty quickly. Do you agree?
The number one place that I'm found is Google. So definitely I put a lot of focus on Google products and that type of thing just because I know what it's done for my business for sure.
You can talk about it a lot better when you've had experience, and we have both had experience with it. So when I'm talking to small businesses, it's one of the things that I bring up. Specifically, what about reviews? Many small businesses are afraid of reviews. Do you agree with that or not?
First of all, the work has to be good, whatever you do, whether it's service-based, whatever you provide, you have to be good at it, first of all, because that's the only way you're going to get good reviews. So it's important to be good at what you do first, but reviews are huge. I get phone calls all the time, and people have already made the decision to use my services just based on reviews. So reviews are a huge, huge thing for sure.
And you have very good reviews on one platform. I have good experience on another platform. You'd give the advice, I think you would, to look at all of the different platforms and see which one might be best for you. I particularly prefer Google Plus, their reviews. Google My Business Listings, that is Google Plus. It's growing so fast, it's hard to know where you are and what you're doing. You have Google search, but Google My Business Listing, I think, is still under Google Plus. The review process is fabulous. Some people find it difficult to get their customers to use Google Plus and the review process. Do you find that difficult?
Specifically with Google, it is a little tougher sometimes. You do your best and try to get as many as you can. And it's one of those things that I think what you said before, just being in different places, having reviews in different places is highly important. If you focus just on one, you're only going to hit a small segment of the market at that point. So your customers are going to be in different places. So you need to try to make sure you have reviews in all the different places where people find you from.
I think you're absolutely right. Any parting words to a business that is either just starting out or, more importantly, I feel, a business that's been in business for a good long while, but they need to ramp up what they're doing? What's your advice to them?
It starts with attitude. You have to have a positive attitude, first of all, first and foremost, because you're not going to grow either a new business or an existing business without having a positive attitude. And I can tell you firsthand that when I changed my attitude, my business started going up. I've been on both sides. I've seen how the effect on my customers as I'm right there in front of them. I've seen the difference, and being positive, passionate about what you do is highly important. I think especially for a existing business is to stay open-minded. I think that's a huge thing. I think many times people think that they have it all figured out, and I don't have it all figured out. Shoot, I'm going to be continually learning. That's just how it is. So you have to stay open-minded and be willing to accept change as it comes and move with the times.
To sum it up, be good at what you do. Be confident in what you do. Be good first before you're confident. Be confident in what you're doing and continue to learn and have a great attitude. But your job has to be the very best job that could ever be anywhere. And that has to come through when you offer your service or your product. Thank you for talking with me today, Matt. It was special for me. I hope you enjoyed it. Did you?
Thank you for interviewing me. I appreciate that, Sheila.
Oh, you're more than welcome. I really appreciate it. We'll talk soon. Bye, everybody.